If there are children involved, you get to see the charts of the children. In other words, you get to see which child is carrying which burden, which way for their parents. You know, it's not enough for the parents to know that the child's involved. They really have to be able to see that by taking that burden off of the child and dealing with that thing themselves, everybody's much healthier. You know, our young children are not equipped to hold our relationships together. You know, I have seen in my lifetime, because it's part of my generation's malaise, I have seen so many children, you know, who are devastated by the splitting up of their parents. And they're devastated because they take responsibility. And of course, they're right in most of those cases. In most of those cases, they've been holding their split definition parents together. And they have been holding them together. And they feel the pain of that when they split up. They feel like it's their fault, it's their failure, and it's a devastating thing for them. You know, popular psychology will tell you that you have to tell your child in those situations it's not their fault, but that's just paying lip service to a generalized concept instead of seeing it for what it is. Those parents need to understand what kind of a burden they placed on the child, and they need to eliminate that burden from that child. They have to talk to the child about it. They have to understand. And only when they understand will the vibration they put across to their child be trusted. It's not just telling them, look, Johnny, it's not your fault. You know, I have to be able to trust that, and I have to be able to understand how that works. So couples that are coming to you with children, you have a different equation you have to keep in mind, and it's particularly important if there's a split. If there's no split, it doesn't matter. You know, if there's no split, you don't have to deal with that. And as I told you, you're going to find much more couples who have single definition than couples that have split definitions. And again, that's not a qualitative one's better than the other. They're just different and operate under different circumstances. So the first thing to see is they've got a handicap. So we look at the overall formula, the number sequence, 9-0, blah, blah, blah. We look to see whether there's a split or not. If there's no split, go directly to the compromise. If there's no compromise, go then to the dominance. You're bound to find one or the other. Now, compromise is going to be the main area of concern. But you can't get there if you've got a split definition. You can't go there after you see the configuration. So you have these steps that you can actually use and work with. In other words, look at the overall. And by the way, when I say that, you may have done somebody's design. They ask you to look at the design of their partner, for example, and the partner, you have to do the partner's chart. If you don't know both of those designs relatively well, don't bother to do the partnership. Because again, you have to know them as individuals to be able to help them